Good evening, everyone. Welcome to your Rangers Review Team News reaction video from Ibrox ahead of tonight's Europa League last 16 second leg tie against Fenerbahce. Rangers going into the game with a 2-goal advantage. I'm joined by Chris Jack in the press room, as you can see, if you are watching us live. And the teams have not long dropped. So without much further ado, let's just whack up the graphic, and you and Joshua got it bang on with your predicted team. Let me get it. I'll mention our sponsor while we're here before I take away their banner. The Ranger Review, of course, brought to you by S1 Jobs. If you're looking for a new job, then these are the guys to go to, folks. And give them a call if you're thinking about switching jobs, perhaps. Then this is s1jobs.com. That is where to go. Right, let's take that off. There we go, and we can see the team in full. It's pretty much similar formation, you'd imagine, to the one that took to the field last week. A couple of notable changes. Robin Propper replaced by Leon Balogun, and Ridvan makes way for Dujon Sterling. So that team in full. Butland in goal. A back five of Sterling, Tavernier, Suter, Balogun and Jefty. A midfield trio of Raskin, Barron and Diamandi, with Czerny just playing off Cyril Dessers. On the bench for Rangers tonight, very packed substitutes bench. Kelly, Ridvan, Propper, Lawrence, Bayrami, Enciala, Igaman, Hadji, McCausland, Royce, Curtis and Danilo. Chris, what is your immediate reaction to that?
Immediate reaction is a sense of pride that me and Josh managed to predict it correctly. To be fair, I think it was a fairly straightforward one to go with. I think once we decided that the structure of the side and was going to be the same, I think it was always likely that Barry was going to pick that similar side in terms of a formation. There wasn't that many big calls to make. I think the Dujon Sterling over Ridvan Yilmaz was perhaps the biggest one to make, but a fairly straightforward one to make. Leon Balogun obviously had to start after being so impressive off the bench last week. So I don't think there was that many big calls for Barry to make. But I think that's a side that people will be confident with. You only have to think back a week to look at how impressive it was, how accomplished it was in that performance. Solid enough defensively, carried a lot of threat going forward. Once they got the 3 goals, could have and should have had more than that on the night. So I think that's a side that will give the fans coming along here and the fans that will tune in a lot of confidence that Rangers can go and finish what they've started.
Yeah, let's hope so. That is pretty much the team that many would have predicted. Not to do your prediction in any way whatsoever, Chris, but I think that is probably the strongest Rangers team possible for tonight's game. It will be interesting to see what kind of approach Rangers adopt for this one. When I was on with Johnny this morning, he said that there's no need to go sort of all guns blazing to begin with and try and get an early goal. He would like Rangers to play in a similar fashion as we witnessed last week. Maybe invite Fenerbahce onto them and try and hit on the break. I'm intrigued to see how Fenerbahce approach it. I don't think they'll go full gung-ho from the off, Chris. I think they'll be pretty measured and look to see what Rangers do. No doubt they'll have seen how teams have come to Ibrox recently and got results. I know they need to rectify the situation, but I don't expect them to be throwing caution to the wind immediately.
No, I think it was interesting when Mourinho spoke in this very press conference room 24 hours or so ago, and he mentioned the Ibrox crowd and how will they react to certain types of performances. Now, do the Rangers fans come here tonight expecting Rangers to be slightly more attacking and try and get the first goal, which would put them in a really, really strong position in terms of tie, obviously, or do they accept Rangers being a bit more defensive and almost playing the away style at home? I think a lot will depend on how the crowd react. It's a night for the crowd to be patient. It's a night for the crowd to understand the flow of the game and the position in the tie. And I think you'll see Fenerbahce can bounce off that to an extent. Mourinho kind of touched on that. Really interested to see how Fenerbahce go. They did have chances last week. They didn't have a lot of them. I thought at times they were really easy to play against and really easy to play through. Having seen that 90 minutes, having had a week to work on it, you can't imagine they will make the same mistakes again. I don't see them giving up as many chances, but they do have to, at some point in this game tonight, they do have to be a bit more open. They do have to come and try and score goals, and that should allow Rangers those spaces to operate in. You're looking at Cherny, you're looking at Dessers. So impressive last week in that first leg, and that I think gives the Rangers fans a lot of hope. Now, whether you see it as a Rangers as a 3 at the back or a 5 at the back, it will be both at different times, just depending on the flow of the game. You're looking at that midfield 3 again. They dominated Fenerbahce's midfield last week. If they can do that again, that gives Rangers a real foothold in there, and as it gives them a real chance of going on and recording what would be a huge night.
Yep, Neil raises a point there. We'll lift the roof at Ibrox. The players need to ride the wave. Yep, and I'm expecting a crescendo of noise, and I expect it to be one of those stereotypical European nights at Ibrox. The players surely will get a lift from that, and they've lost their last 3 matches. This is a different ball game altogether, and the players, when they come out the tunnel, will hear that noise. I heard, remember John Lundstrom a couple of seasons ago saying it just gave them that extra sort of 10% when they walked out the tunnel and they heard that the backing that they got. So I think the fans will play their part tonight. There is no doubt about that. Got to say though, when I think it was yourself or Johnny, I'm not too sure, Chris, who videoed the Fenerbahce team bus heading towards Ibrox and the front door. The players just got out. I've seen Fenerbahce fans welcoming them into the front door as well. What's all that about? Do you want it more hostile than that, surely?
You should have known by the dodgy camera work that it was one of my videos and not Johnny's. It was taken on the hop just as I crossed the road coming in from the car park. It's not exactly the most intimidating drive up that I'm sure Fenerbahce have ever seen. They'll be used to far worse than that domestically and in some European games as well. But I think the Rangers fans they'll bring the noise as soon as the game kicks off. I know the Union Bears have got a display planned in the Copeland as well, and we've seen so many of these nights over the years. The Ibrox factor is always something that gets brought up in a pre-match and during the games, and it's being brought up and it's been talked about as often because it is such an important part of these occasions. Now it does make such a difference, not just through that run to Seville, matches before that, matches since that. It can just give the Rangers side such a lift. I don't imagine Fenerbahce will be spooked by it. They will have played in big atmospheres, and you only have to look at some of the names within their team. You only have to look at the guys in the dugout as well. They're not going to be overawed by the occasion or by the atmosphere here, but it's what can Ibrox do for these Rangers players. As I mentioned earlier on, as long as I think they're patient at times, they support at the right times, it really could be the 12th man that helps get Rangers over the line.
Yep, D says, please tell me Johnny stayed at home. Every big game he goes to, we get beat. I seen I don't know if it was your same, your good self, D, but I seen a message on YouTube earlier saying this and a bit concerned that Johnny's going to the game tonight. I asked Johnny about this, and he went to the 3-3 game, the Old Firm match. That's one of the big games, and he also went to the Dortmund game at home, and that ended well. So I'm not too anxious about Johnny being at the game. He will be on at the full time for our video on the whistle. Let's hope for everyone's sake that Rangers do the business and we're not pointing the finger at Johnny. Anyway, let's run through the Fenerbahce team. Looks like a 4-4-2 for them. Egri Bayat in goal, Muldur, Skriniar, Acicek, I'm probably butchering these names, and Kostic at the back. A midfield of Asai Samuel, Amrabat, Fred comes back in, and Szymanski, and a front two of Talisca and Naziri. So no Edin Dzeko in the starting 11. Fred, though, comes back in to skipper the team, and as we know as well, no St. Maximin as well. Interestingly, Jose Mourinho's had a go at him for his cryptic message he posted on Instagram after he was left at home, because he posted a sort of Roman quotation on his Instagram, a pretty cryptic quote to being left out of the squad, and Jose Mourinho says he never knew he was a poet as well as a footballer. So there you go. I don't think he's those two guys are on the best of terms, but I think it's good news that he's not available. He probably realised Dujon Sterling starting tonight and decided just to stay at home and not bother his backside coming over. There's a comment saying it was a very strong bench, Chris, and it is a strong bench. Lots of players on there that can come on and impact the game if need be.
There is. Hopefully, it doesn't get to that stage where Rangers need these guys to come on and help rescue the situation. But you look at guys like Barami, obviously, as an attacking option. Hadji, obviously, Igaman is the main one from an attacking perspective. There are players in there that Barry can use to influence the game. They can use to change the game. As we mentioned right at the top of the show, that is the 11. I think a lot of people would have picked Bridvan over Jefty at left back, maybe for some, but not for us. But you do look at the bench. I think that there are players there that can come and influence the game. Whether that to help Rangers get the goal that gets them through, whether it's to help manage the game if they get themselves in a good situation. So the squad is looking in a better place. And so hopefully it's a team and it's a squad that can go and get the job done here tonight.
Yep, very much hope so. It's going to be a cracking atmosphere, of course. Comment coming in here from Mark. He says, good evening, gents. 3-3. This game is going to be carnage. I hope you're very much wrong, Mark. I'm hoping for a real damp squib. Nothing happening at Rangers to easily progress to the quarterfinals of this competition. Incidentally, the Roma Athletic Bilbao match, that's an hour being played in that game over in Spain, and it's 2-2 on aggregate. Nico Williams has scored. He scored in the first leg. He scored in the second leg. But interestingly, Mats Hummels was sent off after just 11 minutes. So Roma very much up against it. But 1-0 to Bilbao at the moment, 2-2 on aggregate. That game could go all the way. We'll wrap up with this before we call it a day. In the video, Chris, Heather says, big CD9 to do the business tonight. Folks, what do you think, Chris and Derek? Yep, deserving of his starting spot. He was magnificent last week, Chris. Let's hope he's got the shooting boots on again.
Fingers crossed. I know we spoke about it last week on the pre-match show when we were both over in Istanbul, and I said Igaman should be the man leading the line. Dessers very much proved me wrong on that occasion. Barry very much proved me wrong on that occasion. No qualms with Dessers starting the game tonight. He's a guy that's in form. He was really, really impressive last week, and not just the goal that he took so well to make most of that chance and get around the keeper and then finish it. Not just the ones that he was so unlucky to not get. I thought he led the line really well. We've seen Rangers strikers in the past, like Morelos, like bully back fours, occupy back fours, and put in so much work. Dessers obviously a very different style of striker, but I thought he put in so much work last week. He won his aerial duels, covered a lot of ground, he pressed at the right time, and it was a real great all-round performance from him. If he can do that again tonight and not get a goal, it would still go a long way to helping Rangers tonight. If he can do all that and get himself a goal, then Rangers should be very much on the right path in the last 8.
Yep, I love this. Not just goal scorers, but times of goals as well. If this comes true, then we need to get this guy on the show. Spinning Bud Flip says 3-0. Dessers to an Igaman. The 6th and the 63rd minute goals for Dessers and the 93rd minute for Igaman. I wonder what odds you would get on that. But I tell you what, I said it this morning on the show. If Igaman comes on, we're guaranteed at least one nutmeg. So cannot wait for that. But tonight's Rangers team, very much expected, folks. Butland in goal, Sterling, Tavernier, Suter, Balogun and Jefty at the back, Raskin, Barron and Diamandi in the middle. Czerny just playing on serial Dessers. Cannot wait for the game. Kick-off in just under an hour's time. I'll bid you farewell, Chris. Enjoy it. I think it's going to be quite something at Ibrox tonight. And as I touched on earlier, folks, I'll be on with Johnny shortly after the full-time whistle. We hope you can join us for that. Until then, enjoy the game, and I hope your team wins. Bye for now.